welcome back to Bizzie Beez Designs. I'm glad that you're back joining us again, and I hope you're enjoying this process that we're doing, this project of our corner to corner Garden Dreams blanket. Again, I just wanted to say on this channel we do talk about crochet design, prayer shawls. I always have a short devotional, and in this series there will be a short video from my brother Cesar Santiago, and he'll be talking about the different plants or flowers that we are featuring for that day and for the next color block in our blanket. So I hope that everyone's doing well today, and I'm so glad that you came back and joined us again. So this is part 3. If you are just finding our video and just starting to join in with this group, you can go back and watch the intro, part 1 and part 2, and start off the crochet blanket with us. And I think you'll enjoy it. So you just need to know for this project to do, it's a super simple corner to corner blanket, and you just need to know chain stitch, double crochet, and I think there's some single crochets in there too around the edging of the blanket. So those are just the couple of, probably a slip stitch too, the stitches that you'll need to know to do this blanket. And it's really easy once you learn the first part of it and learn how to do the increases, and I'm going to show you every step of the way. You will do fantastic in it, and you'll see how fast it works for you. So the first 2 flowers that we featured, the first one was the crocus, and the second one was the daffodil. The third one is going to be something pink and white. So I'll let you kind of guess what that's going to be. But we're going to join with Cesar here, and he's going to tell us about what he's chosen for the next color block in our blanket. And when he's finished, I'll have a short tutorial just to explain again how we're going to work the next row and the next color block. I'll explain again about the increases. And then after that, if you want to, you can join me for a short devotional in some beautiful spot. We're going to just get together and hear about what the Lord has for us today. So I'll see you back in a few minutes after you're finished visiting with Cesar.
Welcome to Garden Dreams and Other Things. It is a chilly day here in East Tennessee, and I'm actually filming in my neighbor's yard. She has more space. If I tried to film in my yard, I would have the camera in the middle of the road, so this works much better. You can see how beautiful the countryside is here in East Tennessee. But it is chilly. It's what a lot of people call dogwood winter, which is quite appropriate because we're going to talk about dogwood, the dogwood tree today. And once the tulips and the daffodils are in bloom, the next thing in my garden that starts to bloom is the dogwood tree. Now, dogwoods are native to East Tennessee, and you can actually find them in the eastern United States, not just in East Tennessee. In our little town, it's very common for somebody to have a dogwood in their tree. In fact, there are places when you get to the center of town where there are rows of pink and white dogwood. It's really quite beautiful to see, and I always look forward to driving through town to see the color. They grow in zones 5 to 9. They're usually found on the edge of a forest and under the canopy of trees. They prefer full sun, but the best situation for them is if they can get morning sun till, say, around 3 o'clock, and then shade after that. And the other thing that's interesting about them is that if you have them in that situation, that as opposed to having them deeper in the forest or under some heavier shaded trees, if they're in that scenario, they tend to get kind of thin, and they don't really look healthy. But if you have them in the right setting, then they will get full and bushy and beautiful. My dogwood usually blooms in mid-April. Now, in some areas that they can bloom from March to mid-May. And the other thing I want to talk about is what we call the bloom. It's the pictures that you see all the time of the dogwood bloom, but the actual bloom is not those white, what we call petals. Um, but those are called bracts, Bracts, and that is a modified leaf. It's not an actual petal, but it's a modified leaf. And the bracts are the outside, and the actual bloom or the of the flowers are tiny blooms that are set in the very center. The very center of that is where the actual blooms are. And the white, the bracts, is what attracts the pollinators. After they bloom, then in that same area where you have the blooms, then the berries start to pop up. And in the summer, they are orange, and then when you get into the fall, they turn bright red. And this is one of the things that the birds and squirrels love to eat. So if you're thinking about having wildlife in your garden, then this the dogwood is a tree that you should consider having in your garden. They're perfect for small yards. My yard is very small, and I have it in the front, and I just have that one tree, and it really gives a good burst of the white color against my house is blue, and it just really looks really beautiful like that. And it provides just enough shade to keep the front yard pretty cool. You can also do them in a large yard, and maybe you want to think about grouping something together so it will be similar to how it is in its natural state. Maybe a larger tree or two, and then plant your dogwood close to it. Maybe a smaller bush next to that blooms in a different color around the same time. I think that it will work well, but especially if you do as we were talking about, to where it gets the morning sun and shade in the afternoon. The other thing I want to mention is that you have to be patient with a dogwood. It's a slow grower. So if you're a person who's not patient, then you may want to choose another tree. Otherwise, if you wait year after year, you're going to have that color come back. The maintenance on the dogwood is minimal. I've never had to do anything with my dogwood except that if a branch breaks off or if I need to cut off a branch, I can do that. Other than that, there's nothing else I've had to do with it. So if you're considering what to put in your yard that gives you that beautiful white color in the first of spring, then I would recommend the dogwood. I want to thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Garden Dreams and Other Things.
Thanks, Cesar, for that beautiful video. For many years at my mom's house, which is my brother's house now, there's been a beautiful dogwood tree in the front yard. And it holds a lot of memories for our family because our kids, when they were little, they would like to climb the tree, and their cousins, and they'd play in the shade. And just a sweet reminder of when our children are young. So the dogwoods are a beautiful part of the landscape in my hometown. And there's one street that I always love to drive down when the dogwoods are in bloom, and because they had white and pink dogwoods lining the street, and it's so beautiful. And then if you look up on the hills and the mountains, you'll see white dogwoods and redbud trees blooming up in the woods, and also that bright green of the new growth in the trees. All those three colors blended together is just it's just gorgeous. And it's my favorite time. I like to take the back roads and just drive slow with the window down, enjoy the warmth of the spring and just the beauty that that God has created for us. The beauty of all the new growth breaking forth again in the springtime. So those moments just always fill my heart with joy and peace. So enough reminiscing, but let's get started here on part 3. So by now you've probably finished your first one, which was the crocus. the second one, the daffodil, and then today we're going to add the dogwood. And I had chosen, on my larger blanket, I had chosen this yarn, Bizzie Beez Sweet Delight Prints. This has 377 yards. Again, size 3, a 3-weight yarn. Size H hook, just a reminder. And I like it. I like the colors. It's just a really soft color. But this time around, I thought I want to do something a little bit brighter. So for the section of 20 rows with this yarn, this is all I had left with this one skein. So you'll just need one skein if you use this one to make that section. Now I found, in the meantime, have found 2 other yarns that I think would work very well. And the next one is Loops and Threads. You can find that at Michael's. And this one, the color, it's a soft ombre yarn. And the color is dark pink, rose, and cream. Also 3-weight yarn, and this has more than enough, 426 yards. So this would be perfect. You would just need one skein of this if you wanted to use this color instead of the Baby Bee. Then there's a third yarn that I found, and this is Mary Maxim Lullaby. This is a smaller skein. It only has 236 yards. So I would recommend buying 2 of these if you're going to use this one. This color is Snuggles. I really like this bright pink. It has a light pink and it has a white in it. So any of these 3 would do, and I think for this sample, I'm going to use this. This color just really pops out. And I don't know, sometimes I like brighter colors. That looks like that one's going to be a mess to pull out. I should have had the end pulled out. But you know how that goes when you pull from the center pull. Oh, there. It came out in a big bunch. Let's see if we can find an end in this. That looks like I might be near it there. Sorry. I should have had this ready before we started. There it is. Okay, so I wonder how it went with you all. Did you find it pretty easy to finish that next section? I can't talk today. I'm going to cut off that piece. That looks like a raggedy edge. Okay. There, that might be a little bit better. And so where you ended your last row, remember you just tie off. And again, you want to weave in your ends. Now you can, or wait till later. Either way, whatever's your thing. Okay, this yarn looks like it might be a little splitty, but we're just going to work with it and see how it goes. So this is how I attach my new yarn. Remember, you always attach your new yarn where you ended with your last row. So I'll pull up a loop and then draw 2 through there, and that's going to count as my first chain 1. And then we have to do 2 more chains to turn. Okay, I'm going to turn your work. And again, we're working the same row. Super easy. This would be boring if you didn't have to change colors. And I think that's why sometimes a lot of people like to work with variegated yarn, because that changing of colors adds interest. Okay, and so we chain 3, and then remember, between the first and the second double crochet, you're going to insert your hook, and work 2 double crochets. There we go. And then skip 2, and in the space there you're going to work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And in the next, skip 3, in your space, work 3 double crochets, and we're just going to do that all the way across. And I really like this pink against the yellow. That is pretty. Although it is a little splitty, but I'll deal with it. Isn't it amazing how, and this is an acrylic yarn also, how yarns from different companies can be so different. Even though they're all 100% acrylic, their texture is just a little bit different from one company to another, one brand to another. I hope you're enjoying this project. I am. I enjoy changing the colors and adding them to see, what that's going to look like when you combine a new color with the next against the first group. Do you have dogwood trees growing in your area? We live in Spokane, and you don't see a lot of dogwood trees. We do have a family down the street, a couple houses down from us, that have a beautiful pink dogwood tree in their front yard. So this year I went down there and took pictures of their tree. It was just gorgeous in bloom. I enjoy that so much. So things, when you live away from your hometown, those little things that remind you of home just kind of fill your heart with joy, don't they? Okay, so we're just going to continue across this row. Now, when you had finished your 20 rows and you started with the dogwood section, you will be starting row 41, and you end on row 60, and you will end with 60 groups of 3 double crochets at the end of your third section. We're getting close to the end here. This is why I chose just to do a smaller amount, and I think it might just be the right size for a little baby blanket, which is perfect. I can gift that to someone who's having a baby. And I think if you do like 15 rows of each color, you probably have a good kind of lap size blanket. Okay. Getting close to the end here. You see my my bunch of yarn comes creeping closer and closer. There it is. Let's spread it out there. Okay. And like I say, it's just the same row over and over. And I'll just show you how to end it, just to remind, so you can remember that. I'm sure you have it memorized by now, and you just probably go whizzing through it. Okay, at the very end, skip 2 double crochet, and in that space we're going to work 3. 1, 2, 3, and chain 3 and turn. Look at that. That pink is pretty against the yellow. You see that? I like that. I can't wait to work. It's just going to have a lighter pink that comes through on the next row. Cool. Really cool. Okay. That's it for now. And so I hope you're enjoying this, and I'm going to ask you to join me for the next devotional. Um, and devotional number 3 is called The Dogwood, a Symbol of Strength. Okay, and I will see you next week, or next time we come back together to do part 4, and just to see where Cesar's going to take us and show us the next flower that we're going to be adding to our Garden Dreams crochet blanket. um, Again, like I said, I hope you're enjoying this, and just can't wait to get together with you again. We'll see you next time at Bizzie Beez Designs as we continue with part 4 of our Garden Dreams crochet blanket. So take care, and the Lord bless you and keep you. Until next time, bye. Today we're at some beautiful falls on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I hope that you enjoy this view while you're listening to this devotional. As I was doing research of the symbolism of the dogwood tree, I came across the legend of the dogwood. I'm sure many of you have heard about this. It's a story relating the dogwood tree to the crucifixion of Jesus. It's a beautiful story, but that's not what I want to talk about today. I did a little bit of research and I found another symbol for the dogwood. That symbol is strength. How did the dogwood become a symbol of strength? It's because it's a resilient, high, dense wood. It has deep and extensive root system, which gives it stability in severe weather. It's adaptable and can grow in climates and in different soil conditions. All these characteristics contribute to making it into a tree that can withstand severe weather without sustaining damage. Under ideal conditions, some trees can last up to 80 years. So let's compare that to another tree, and I thought of the Bradford pear tree. This tree also is one of the first to bloom in the spring, and it's very lovely in the fall when the leaves change colors. However, it's very different from the dogwood in that it lives for 10 to 20 years and is structurally weak. The wood is brittle, so the branches break easily. Any strong wind can break this tree. And if a bad storm comes through, it can cause severe damage. In other words, this tree cannot stand up to strong storms. It could be destroyed, unable to recuperate the storm damage. It has a shallow, widespread root system, which makes it easy to topple over in a bad storm. So I gave you all this information just because I wanted to make a comparison to our lives. Compare these trees to our lives. When the storms of life come, and they will, how will you survive? Will you be like the dogwood tree, strong and resilient? Will your roots be deep and extensive, providing stability when the winds blow? Will you be able to survive in difficult conditions and come out even stronger? Or will you be like the Bradford pear tree, weak and brittle? Are your roots shallow and widespread? Do your branches break with the first strong wind that blows? When a storm comes, will you easily topple over and not survive? I don't know about you, but I desire to be a strong person, one who's able to survive the difficult times that I go through in life and to come out even stronger. I know that I can't do this whole life thing on my own. It's good to have good friends who will be there for you, but there are moments in life when they cannot be there one way or another. I know that I have failed many times to be a good and faithful friend. Who do you depend on then when you are standing alone? I know that I need someone who will be by my side 24/7, who will always be there for me no matter what, who will walk through the fire and storms with me and never leave me. I found that someone. That someone is Jesus. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. He makes a great difference in my life. In him is where I find strength to face the storms of life. I want to be like that dogwood tree, strong and resilient, able to withstand many storms with my roots planted deeply. I find my strength in Him and in His Word. Here are a few scriptures that talk about strength, being strong, and where my strength comes from. Colossians 2:6-7 says, "So then, just as you received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live in Him, rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, overflowing with thankfulness." Psalms 46:1-3. God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in time in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall to the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. Psalms 1:1-3. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. That's very appropriate for this location where we see many trees planted by the river. Let's go on to the next one. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. In Joshua 1:9 it says, Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. There's another scripture about being strong and courageous in Psalm 31:24. So be strong and courageous, all you who put your hope in the Lord. Ephesians 6:10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Philippians 4:13. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. Ephesians 6:10. And this is our last one for the day. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and I am helped. That was Psalms 28:6. Sorry about that. And finally, the last one, Ephesians 6:10. Finally, be strong in the Lord in His mighty power. So today, I just want to encourage you not to walk through life on your own or trusting on your own strength, but have someone who will never leave you, someone who will walk with you and guide you along the way. And that friend is Jesus Christ. Be blessed, my friend.